very welcome to this week's Educogym live interview series. And this week we're going to be speaking with Marlowe Neal, all the way from Belize. Marlowe is the CEO of Belize Natural Energy, BNE. And we also have with us Albert Garcia from Educogym. And Albert originally met Marlowe through Educogym. So first of all, I want to welcome you both on. Marlowe, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Jamie. Hi, everyone. Hi, Albert.
Hello.
And Albert, yes, can't forget Albert. Albert, very welcome. Thanks a million again for joining us. And I know it's very early in the morning for you guys. It must be, what is it, about 7:30 in the morning, is it?
8:30.
8:30. Okay, well, it's not too bad. No, I'm not feeling too sorry for you then. So Marlowe, we wanted to maybe hear a little bit about your background and maybe where you grew up and get people to get a feel for Belize and how you were when, you know, where you studied, maybe even getting the beginnings of your career, and where obviously I'm going to bring in Albert to ask you various questions because he's very familiar with your story, and we should be able to move it on from there. So maybe you give us a little bit of a background and let us know a bit about Belize from Marlowe's point of view.
All right. Thank you very much, Jamie. I will start with where I am currently. As you rightfully said, I am the CEO, president of Belize Natural Energy Limited, which is Belize's only oil and gas producer. And we'll get to that a little bit later. I have a lot to share about BNE and all the wonderful things that we have and continue to do for the country. In terms of my background, I was born and raised in Belmopan. I have known Albert for quite some time. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We attended the same high school. We hung out we traveled in the same circles. And so I have known Albert for quite some time. I grew up in Belmopan. I did my first degree in Belmopan. That would be up to the associate's level, which we refer to junior college here. I think it's the same in UK and in that parliamentary system. After I finished, I moved to Miami, and I lived there for 7 years, where I attended Florida International University. And my background is in finance and banking. I did my bachelor's, my master's, and several graduate certificates there in international bank management. When I finished my studies in 2006, 2007, which is coincidentally a couple years after BNE had discovered oil in 2005, I moved back to Belize, and BNE was really never on my mind. I knew that we had an oil company. I didn't necessarily know about the Educo model at that time, but we have always looked at BNE as a national treasure. I still remember quite well, I was in Miami on the 6th floor of a condo in North Miami when the announcement that the country had discovered oil. I remember sitting there overlooking the pool in front of my computer. At this time, I was finished with school, so I was job hunting. And I said, you know what? I finally feel that Belize is on a right path. And I remember getting overly emotional that day, very emotional. And I thanked whatever lucky stars, whatever gods, the universe there was, that Belize finally has an opportunity to be put on the right path economically. And perhaps that was the extent of which I thought about BNE up until I assumed the CEOship here in 2018. So I moved back to Belize in 2007 because I studied banking and finance. The Central Bank of Belize was a natural fit. I started there as a bank examiner, as an auditor. I worked my way up to the policy unit, and eventually I got an opportunity to move over to the private sector. And this is where the story gets really interesting, Jamie, because my dream has always been to move over to the private sector. That's where the money is. That's where the nice vehicles are. That's where the corner office is. So I remember it was in August in 2011. I saw an ad in the newspaper for one of the largest commercial banks. They were looking for a corporate manager, which is a very, very senior role in the banking system. So I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think it's time for a change. This sounds like my dream job. It sounds like everything I've ever wanted. And if I apply for this job, I'm going to get it. She said, well, you know what? I support you, and perhaps it's time for a change. So I applied. I went for the interview. I was fairly confident that I would be placed in the job. And sure enough, I got my dream job, Jamie. This was, hallelujah, everything was coming up of roses. Coincidentally, that was the same time that my first son, I have 4 kids. My first son was born that very same 2011. So I got a new job on the 1st of December, and I got my kid in the middle of December. So, and it was around the Christmas time. So all these celebrations. So was a dream job. It was a great place to work, but something very strange happened. You know, one day while I was getting ready for work, this was probably about 2 or 3 years into the job, I couldn't leave the dining table, and my wife said, "Aren't you going to work?" I said, "Yes, but I need to talk to you." And when a husband or a wife or a significant other tells the other person that it's time to have that talk, there's something wrong. And I told her, "Well, look, there's nothing necessarily wrong. I'm happy in the marriage, but is this it? You know, I have what I consider a dream job by all standards. It pays very well. You know, I have a credit card, I have a secretary, we're in the newest building, we're in the newest flat in the city. I mean, everything is great with the job, but something was missing, Jamie. And I couldn't put my hands on exactly what it was. And I told Carla, you know what? She's my wife, she's on listening as well. I told her, you know what? I think I need to go on a journey. And that's when she held her head again and said, "Oh my God, what are you talking about? No, I have a mortgage. I have kids, I have responsibilities, and you're talking about going on a journey. What are you going to take a sabbatical? We don't have the money for that." So I said, look, I think there has to be something more. What I thought was my dream job really wasn't my dream job, Jamie. I felt a little bit trapped, and I knew it was just in my mind because the environment was good. I worked with great people. I mean, the opportunities were tremendous, but something in me said, there's something more, there's something missing. So with that said, Jamie, I told my wife, I said, look, I'm going on a journey. I don't know what type of journey it is, but something has got to change because, you know, the way I'm going, this job is taking the last of my energy. I'm still happy, but I could see that changing very soon. So we need to make a change. So over a period of a year, we had a plan, Jamie, where we said, you know what? We're going to save up for a year, and I'm going into consultancy. So we give us some time to kind of build a little nest egg. Well, Jamie, that 12 months turned into 9 months, then it turned into 6 months. And on a Friday, I walked into my boss's office and I said, I'm leaving. And he said, "You're leaving?" He said, "But it's 9 o'clock here." I said, "No, you don't understand. I think I need something more." He leaned back in his chair and he said, "You young kids, what the hell do you want? What do you want? You have a good job, you're young, just stick in there and eventually you'll be in my shoes and you'll end up leading the bank. What more do you want?" I said, "This is not it." He said, "Look, take the rest of the day. Obviously you're stressed. Take the rest of the day, take the weekend and come back fresh on Monday. You need to reconsider. No one just ups and leaves a job." I said, "Okay, but I'm certain my mind won't change." So I was out of the office by like 10 o'clock on that Friday. And I said, "You know what? Something has got to give, Jamie. Something has got to change." So I went to Belmopan where I live. I worked about 50 miles away from where I live. So I took the commute. I listened to my music. I thought about whether this decision that I was doing was the right one. Now, I've already outed myself. I've already told my boss that I'm leaving. You don't tell your boss that you're leaving unless you're already out the door. So there's no reversing that, Jamie. There's no reversing that. So I visited Khalid Bilal, a very good friend of Albert and myself as well. We grew up as brothers. And he's the mayor of Belmopan City, and he has attended the Educo seminar as well. And I think Albert last week gave the story about Khalid, how, you know, he had lost elections, I think 2 times or 1 time, I'm not too certain, but he attended the seminar and his big goal was to get elected.
Wow.
Within a year, I believe, he won the election just as he had written out just as he had programmed on the seminar. So I visited Khalid and he said, "Look, He said, I know you don't want to go back to an office. You're leaving banking, but why don't you come and work for me as the CEO, as an administrator in our municipality? We're childhood friends. This is a great opportunity for us to build out our vision of what we want this city to be. I said, you know what? That's not a bad idea. And I think I could get along with that. Just give me some time to think. So like I said, this 12-month plan from the bank turned to 6 months, turned to 3 months, to eventually I was out of the door and starting a new chapter. But then something very strange happened, Jamie. While I was at the city council, as the new CEO, I had to, along with the mayor and the council, stand in front of the city and in front of the employees and sell a vision of where we wanted the city to go. I knew what we wanted the city to look like, but I could not articulate that vision. I just could not get it, Jamie. So one day now, I was at the gym with Albert, and Albert said, you know, Marlowe, how's city council, how's it going? And I said, Albert, I have a very unique problem. I need to sell a vision to the city, and I will not get up in front of the employees and sell something that I don't believe in, because I don't lie. So I won't do that. He said, well, and he laughed. Typical Albert, he laughed. And he said, I think I have just the thing for you. I said, what is it? And he handed me one of the brochures for the Educo seminar. And I said, what is this? Is this like a leadership training course? He said, yeah, it's something like that. I said, okay, I'll look at it. He said, and by the way, we're having a guest evening, and I want you to just come and to listen, and we'll watch a video of Tony and you'll get an idea of exactly what the seminar is about. I said, fine. So I attended the open house, and that was the first time I ever met Suzanne. So we watched the video about Dr. Tony Quinn, talking about the mind and talking about programs and thoughts. And I found it very interesting. In fact, it's somewhat aligned with some of, the things that I would have already been reading, but this is actually practical. It gets results and it's proven. That's what I saw in the video. But everything changed when I heard Suzanne. And Jamie, feel free to interrupt me at any time.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, just for people listening or watching, you might need to explain who Susan is.
So I saw Suzanne stand up, and I knew this lady was the co-founder of an oil company. And here we are in a gym in Belize, the middle of Belize in Belmopan, in a gym on a Wednesday, talking to a group of Belizeans about empowerment and personal power and the success system. And Jamie, I really haven't heard many Belizeans talk to fellow Belizeans about something uplifting and positive. I was hooked right away. And I thought to myself, I said, why is this lady taking her time to talk to a bunch of Belizeans about personal empowerment? The model that I came from, if I were in her shoes, I would probably be in some fancy location, I don't know, just living it up. But she's very passionate about improving Belize and about a new Belize. I was hooked right away, and I told my wife afterwards, I told Carla, I told Albert, whatever she has, I want. I said, because that is the system that I think we need in terms of business, in terms of society. People who cast a vision and bring other people along. It's not just a situation where it's just for me. It has to be for everyone. And we believe that this power is in everyone. So Albert said, look, just fill out the application to go on the seminar and articulate exactly what you hope to take away from the seminar. Within 3 weeks, I was on a flight to Bahamas. Now, bear in mind, Jamie, I had just left the Belize Bank. So now I was in a situation where in the private sector, my salary was yay. And in the public sector, it was still good, but it was cut probably in half. So we had to juggle to make a lot of changes. And here I am now taking what would have been the last of my savings to invest to go on a seminar. And my wife said, you know what? I support you. I trust you. If you think it's the right thing, you do it. And it turned out to be the best decision ever, Jamie. To say that everything in my life has changed from the seminar would be somewhat of an understatement, but I can't highlight enough how much it has changed in every single dimension. in terms of my physical fitness, my mental fitness, in terms of my motivation, my energy, my clarity, in terms of my family situation, everything has improved for the better. And I credit it to the seminar.
That's amazing, Marlowe. I mean, it is brilliant. And I think a lot of people maybe watching this or even listening to this would be able to relate that maybe there's a point in their career or with work where they do maybe feel that something is missing. And often maybe a person feels that they can't make that change because of the financial commitments. And obviously you placed a lot of trust in Albert and Susan as well, and the seminar, and you really went for it. And it's brilliant to see that it worked out and that it made such a transformation. I just wanted to go back to a couple of different things, because when you talked about being in Florida and Miami, and you read about, I think you said you read about the discovery of oil in Belize and what it meant to you, but just out of interest, maybe you could explain what that company does do for Belize and really what it does mean for Belize, because obviously Belize is a small country, and it must have provided well, serious revenue for not only the government but for the country as a whole, and obviously also employment. But maybe you'd explain a little bit about what that meant to you at that time.
That's a very good question and very valid indeed. I went back to the news archives to look at what was happening in Belize economically around that time. We discovered oil on the 24th of June, 2005. A week before that, we were in the news, the international news, because Belize was facing an imminent downgrade on its external public debt by the S&P and by the rating agencies. So Belize was classified as already high risk, and we were facing a further downgrade in terms of our credit quality. And what that would have meant for Belize is possibly, if we did not make the kind of fiscal corrections necessary, that could have meant a devaluation and a complete change in the quality of life for Belizeans, something that I don't think we could fathom. So the discovery of oil was, I would say, God sent. And since then, we have at one time, Jamie, employed close to 250 Belizeans. I'm proud to say that BNE is our workforce is 99% Belizeans. Wow. One of the visions of the founders of this company was to train Belizeans, to improve the skills of Belizeans so that they will be marketable. It's not for the company to have foreigners to run the operations, but really for it to be a Belizean-led private enterprise. And they did just that. In terms of the revenue, apart from the direct employment, Jamie, in terms of the revenue that the company provided, I often joke with people that given the production at one time and where the price of oil was, BNE accounted for 40% of export dollars in a year.
Wow.
We almost became the economy. So we commanded a sizable force of the economy, and we were the #1 revenue generator for many, many years. So the impact to Belize and the economy has been tremendous. The impact to the local communities, and Albert can speak to some of the work that BNE employees have done, and also through our charitable trust, has been just tremendous and life-changing.
I actually hadn't realized that Khalid had attempted 2 elections before becoming elected. Did I get that right?
It may have been his second or third. I can't recall. But what I can tell you, and you know the world of politics is the same everywhere around, if you usually don't swing it on the first one, it's doubly difficult on the second and or the third.
Sure, yeah.
To be able to bounce back from something like that and to, fulfill what his vision was after having attended the seminar was tremendous, nothing short of tremendous.
So what happened then? So you went on the seminar, and maybe you just explain to people the difference in your mindset. Like, what did you learn first and foremost? What did you think were the most important aspects? And then how did you apply it when you came home?
It's a very good question, Jamie. I think prior to attending the seminar, I really could not separate my thoughts and really take control of my thoughts. I did not understand that your thoughts can influence your environment. It can influence your actions. It can influence your life. You know, it would seem like ABC. It would seem like something very elementary, but it was not, as Tony would say, something very actual to me. I had never put it to the test. Now, as Tony says, everyone is on the path to Educo. Everyone is using the principles at one time or another. But the question is whether you're consciously doing it. I don't think I was very conscious and deliberate about what I was taking into my mind and what I was putting out into the environment. So I think my level of consciousness in terms of the power of thought, in terms of the power of words, and in terms of the power of a series of thoughts to be able to influence you and your environment, I really had no experience with that. We would have said, like I said before I went for the interview at Belize Bank, I knew I would get the job beyond the shadow of a doubt. How I knew that, I can't explain. But we were on the path to Educo. We just didn't know what the steps were and how to deliver an outcome. So I think that's the first takeaway that I got from the seminar, is that these errant thoughts, these thoughts really do matter, Jamie. They really influence your physiology. Yeah. It influences your mental health. It influences the environment and those around you. It's very powerful. So I think I have developed that appreciation for the power of thought and your mental diet. In other words, what you take in to yourself and that expression that comes out. The second thing, Jamie, that I would explain to the viewers, and I think people who know me, and I'm saying this just as a segue, because this is where it gets a little bit woo-woo, and I don't consider myself to be that woo-woo type of guy. I consider myself to be practical by numbers and results, and the model does deliver that. But it also showed me something different, Jamie, which I think has changed my perspective on life entirely. And this happened around day 3 on the seminar. And as you know, one of the exercises on the seminar is for us to connect with nature and to connect with energy and to do the walk of life, really to go through the representational systems and to connect with everything around you. And I was practicing my walk of life on the first day, on the second day, and I thought, you know, nothing's happening. On the third day, Jamie, and this is where it gets really woo and really strange, but I'll go into it anyway. Something different happened when I was doing the walk of life on the beach. I was doing my walk of life and I was going through the systems to be fully engaged and to be really fully present, to not have thoughts anywhere crowding out my experience of reality. So I'm walking on the beach, Jamie. I'm walking, and I'm focusing. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling? Just trying to be very present on the beach, very present. And it wasn't working. The thoughts were just intruding and they're coming in and I can't focus and I'm worrying about back home and my phone and the fact that I have no money and all those things were coming at me. I said, you know what? I give up. I'm going back. I surrender. I give up. And it's at that exact moment when I said that, Jamie, that I can't explain whether it's something visual or it's something that happened just emotionally to me, but everything disappeared. Everything just turned white. There was no beach. There was no sand. There was no sea. There was no birds. I couldn't even see myself. Literally, everything just turned white. And I looked off into the horizon and I saw, Jamie, what I thought was heaven. But it was a bright, vivid landscape, tropical trees, people having fun. But I realized that it really wasn't something otherworldly. It was a projection of what can be here. And I came to the realization that I will not wait or live my life for something that I don't know is promised. If it is that we're to create that world, we can create it right here. And I think that message goes for everyone, whether you're talking about Ireland, whether you're talking about UK, about the US, about Colorado, about Belize. It's really about your ability to be able to create that perfect environment wherever you are. But it first starts in here. And that's what I saw that day. And I believe that changed me forever, Jamie, because I believe I thought I saw what heaven could be like on earth, not exported somewhere else.
Yeah.
And from then, that has been kind of my vision and my feeling for what Belize can be and what the world really can be. So my mindset, to answer your question directly, my mindset has really shifted away from what does Marlowe want? Yes, Marlowe, I want a lot of things. I will be the first to admit that. But I also believe that it is available for everyone in terms of the success, in terms of the happiness, in terms of the peace. And I think that is my driving force, that it's not just for anyone, it's for everyone. And I think that shift in my perception has made all the difference, really. And that was my experience on the seminar. And when I told my wife about it, I said, listen, you're going to think that something is wrong with me, but this is what I saw. And she listened for a while and she said, well, you know, you're one of the most level-headed guys I know. So if you're saying this, it has to be true. And it's my reality, it's my truth, it's what I experienced, but it has made all the difference, Jamie. And I relate the same story to my family. My wife was on the next seminar. My brother was on the next seminar. My brother-in-law was on the next seminar. Carla's mom was on the next seminar. My sister-in-law was on the next seminar. My next brother, the entire family. I think about 80 to 85% of my close family members have been on the seminar because they've seen the change in me, they've seen the change in Carla and the people coming back. So it just built from there, Jamie.
Oh, that's just incredible. I mean, that is just an amazing story. And to experience that on the seminar is just brilliant. So then coming back, what was, I mean, obviously you get this kind of vision and you have an idea, I guess, about what's possible, how you'd like to change the world, for want of better words. So what do you do coming back? What's the difference in your approach? You're the city administrator, not really able to come up with a vision that you really want to sell to the people. So then you come back, then what happens?
That's a very good question, Jamie. I think coming back, you obviously come back with all this energy and all this passion, and a part of you expects that these things will happen immediately. But a very good friend and a business associate of mine said, you know what? Sometimes it's all about timing. But Albert also tells me that you have to trust the process. You have your vision, you have your big goal, you monitor your personal KPIs, you listen to your relaxation, and you work towards it. Rome was not built in a day.
Sometimes you might just explain that though for people. So personal KPIs, what do you mean by that?
In terms of pressing the positive buttons, staying out of thought, listening to your relaxations, those things like that, to make sure that every day you check the list in terms of what you need to do, or what the walk of life, for example, to ensure that you're checking those boxes. It should not be anything in addition to what you're doing. It should form a natural part of your life and of everything that you do to really stay in life. So it was really being consistent with those and listening to the relaxation as well.
So Marlowe, just to continue with that, what I'd love to hear a bit about is BNE and the awards that they've won. We'd love to get your perspective on that, and you know, how that came about, and what is it in the culture of the company that has allowed you to achieve such, I suppose, huge honors in the industry?
Very good question, Jamie. We're very proud of the awards that we have won. We have won several local awards, such as the Employee of the Year Award. We've been recognized as obviously the #1 taxpayer, a compliant taxpayer. We've also won Green Energy Awards. And on the international scene, we've won 2 Get Energy Awards, which was for the educational system, which is Educo, at the core of our company. Now you ask what has driven these awards. It's really the employees and really us giving them the opportunity to be empowered, to attend the seminars and to come back and to make that change, to be very action oriented. So what our employees did in terms of the first award that we won, that the company was recognized for, the Global Get Energy Award, was for the educational model at the core of our system, which is Educo. and we developed what was an adult education program. What the staff realized is that we are training a lot of professionals in very technical fields, but we also have administrative and perhaps field staff that for some reason or another, Jamie, never ventured beyond high school, and some did not attend high school at all. Now, these are individuals that have families, that have kids, and of course, the requirement is to help your kids with their assignment, but how can you help them if you yourself don't have that level of education to be able to assist? So it was really an employee-led initiative to start an adult education program. So we developed the curriculum along with the Ministry of Education, who gave it its endorsement, and we started our very own school here at BNE.
Wow.
So we sent a total of 25 people through the program. They started from the primary school level up to the secondary level, and one of our graduates recently finished a year and a half ago and went all the way into college level. So we were recognized for this program for uplifting and empowering staff and the community, and that is how we won the first Get Energy Award, for making a difference, a real difference in the country.
Wow. Okay. And the second one then, because that one is very interesting. I know we touched on it last week, but I'd love to hear your take on it.
The second one was a localization award, which recognizes the work that BNE has done again in the community, but up and down the supply chain. In other words, every supplier, every service provider that we come in contact with, BNE gives them an opportunity, if they so choose, to take advantage and to enhance their business as well using the Educo model. And that means whether it's the police department, whether it's our truckers, whether it's other service providers, be it security, they all can avail of the educational model, which is at the core of our system. So we were recognized for that. And I just want to say, Jamie, that in terms of the awards, we were against some real heavy hitters, some of the majors, some universities, first world universities in the US, I believe in Oman, in other countries, and BNE, a company in Belize that was founded on the Educo model, was recognized standing amongst all these giants. We were a giant ourselves in terms of our actual achievement and the impact that we have made in the community. We're very, very proud of those awards, Jamie, because they're a testament to the model. They're a testament to tangible results, and that's what we're about. We're about the results, and these are a testament to that.
So tell me about this very special gym that you have in BNE and that you attended. I know they're separate facilities, but so I know that you have a Educogym in BNE. So tell us about the role that plays.
The gym plays a critical role. As you would know, I feel like I'm almost doing it a disservice when I call it a gym, because for me, I see it as so much more. It's more like community outreach. And I credit the gym and I credit Albert with introducing me to the Educo model, which has changed every aspect of my life. So it's less a gym and more, I don't know, a holistic research center. But we do have a gym here, and employees are given time out throughout the day to attend the gym, to write down their goals, we track their results, and to really imprint on them what their vision is, for them to imprint what their vision is for the company, for the department, for themselves, and their fitness goals as well. So currently we have about close to 100 employees, and all of them have the opportunity to avail of the gym and as well to attend the seminar if they so choose. And we have done something very unique as well, Jamie. Historically, the gym has been for employees only, but we recently decided, well, about a year ago, to open it up to the community, to really get people from the Spanish lookout community and the San Ignacio community to attend the gym, to be able to learn about the educational model as well, and really to improve all aspects of their lives. And that was one of the visions that I had for the gym coming in, again, for it to be an outreach, but also for the gym and for all units within BNE to really move from a cost center to a profit center. So we opened the gym to the public and the reception has been very good.
Oh, Brilliant. So yeah, it's interesting because people watching this, when you say gym, they have a particular picture in their mind of maybe a warehouse style gym with lots of equipment spread out all over the place. But really, the gym takes up such a small space. Isn't that right? I mean, it's amazing how compact it is.
It's amazing how compact it is, and it's amazing for working professionals how it's not very intrusive. It takes about half an hour to 40 minutes the most for you to get a good quality workout, and then you're on with the rest of your day. And I think the results speak for itself when you look at someone like Albert. And I hope as well that I'm also an exponent of the gym, and you know, that people look at me and look at Albert as well and say, you know what, I would like a body like that.
Yeah, great. Good. And Albert, do we have you there?
Let me see. I plugged in a headphone. Can you hear me now?
Fantastic. We do. Yeah. I'd love to get your perspective on Marlowe's journey. You know, obviously you've known him for a long time. I hadn't realized it was so long, but particularly when he came into the gym, the type of transformation he came along to that evening, you know, what have you noticed about Marlowe, which people may be able to understand has led to his success?
One of the biggest things I've noticed was his transformation with regards to self-expression. That because he's more himself, he can really get out there, he can really laugh, he can really engage in whatever it is that he's doing. He is a lot more happier, and that, in that sense, has a massive impact on everything else that he would be doing. Prior to him doing the seminar, coming to the gym, well, I do note that when he came in initially, he was a bit stressed, so that was a part of the reason for coming in. And he knows he came in, worked out, but the commute, for example, at work was killing him. So he would come in, commit for a while. Okay, I'll be right back. And we would have various discussions about I'd say, where the gym really goes, that it's a lot more than a gym. And he would note that there's something different, but he could never really put his hand on it up until when he attended that open meeting, which he knew there's something very, very different. Because I remember Marlowe coming in and saying that he had this massive headache, and it just went throughout the meeting. It just sort of cleared up. He felt a lot better. And then attending that seminar, that really brought him that freedom to really be himself, more so than ever. And that, I find, has made an impact in every single thing that he's done.
Brilliant. It's always interesting, Marlowe, isn't it, when somebody else is giving their perspective, you know, because obviously you can kind of think how you're operating yourself, and then somebody else will say, well, this is how it looked from the outside. So I always think it's very interesting.
I think it's right on. I do feel a lot more free since attending the seminar, not as wound up. And I think, again, in terms of my physical health, in terms of the way I look, you know, I've had people that perhaps had seen me before the seminar and saw me a couple months after, and they said, my God, you look so young. What have you been doing? And I said, wow, well, thank you. So that means I looked very old before. So I'll take it nonetheless.
Yeah, you know, you think, why didn't you say anything before? Yeah. Why are you saying it now? Just giving me compliments. Yeah, I know. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else then that we can touch on that would give people a good understanding of the model? I think that actually that's a really good point that you made earlier on, that everybody is using Educo. So Educo, for people listening, means to draw out from within. So effectively you're drawing out maybe your ideal life or lifestyle from within. And the point, it might be worth just reiterating that point, Marlowe. So from your point of view, your understanding is that everybody is using Educo, isn't that right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah, so it's that, I guess for people, it's that your life is being drawn out, and it is an unconscious, and the seminar really is teaching you about the mechanics of your mind so that then you can take conscious control of that process. That'd be a good way of putting it. I mean, obviously I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but is that how you would?
I agree, and I couldn't have said it any better than that, Jamie. That's exactly what it is. It's being deliberate and conscious about it, about your thoughts, about the series of thoughts that you have in your mind, which becomes a program, and the outcomes. So you're creating, for the most part, the outcomes in your life. So you ought not be surprised if the outcome goes a certain way or another, but it's just being deliberate about it and having that level of consciousness that you do have that power within you, and that power, that life force within, acts on your deepest thoughts and your deepest beliefs. And, I would know that to be true. One, because it's tested on the seminar, but two, I'm sitting in the manifestation of the thoughts of Susan and the other founders of the company, Mike Usher, who's no longer with us, who attended a seminar and had a vision of transforming Belize, of finding oil for the people of Belize. And it is a reality. I'm sitting in it.
Yeah, that is a very good point and a great way of putting it. And Albert, I'm wondering, is there anything that you think that you could ask Marlowe that might give people a good understanding or further understanding of the power of the model?
The only thing that pops to mind, to be quite frank, is just tying it together, asking him to tying it together, how the gym impacted his entire life, because I don't know if people have a clear understanding or clear idea how that sort of linked together.
So what do you think, Marlowe? Did you get that?
Sorry.
I'm just wondering, Marlowe, did you get that?
No.
So Albert's just wondering, it's just to give people a clear idea of how the gym really did link it all together, how it really did play such a part in transforming your life. I hope I've got that right, Albert.
Yeah.
I don't need to translate what you're saying at all. It's just the mic is creating havoc.
Going. Yeah, that's correct, Jamie. If you're hearing me.
I am. Yeah. So what do you think, Marlowe?
I thought about that, and obviously without the gym as a resource center, I obviously wouldn't have been introduced to the Educo model, but my understanding is that the entire gym itself is built on that model of, for example, getting an imprint of exactly what you want in terms of your physical body, in terms of other aspects of your life. And I know, having attended the gym, Albert would have walked me through when we did the weigh-in, when we did the introduction to the gym, in terms of what I wanted to achieve. But what he spoke about was not just what I wanted to achieve physically, but if there are any other aspects of my life that I wanted to see some improvement in, he really walked me through that to see, how we can tie your physical fitness, your mental fitness into those other aspects of your life. So I think that's fundamental in terms of understanding the entire model, is having trainers like Albert being able to employ it and to explain to people exactly what you're doing, what they're doing for you, and what you can do for yourself. So I think that's where I see the integration. And also what I see, Jamie, and I have told Albert and some of the other trainers, this is that they're in a very privileged position, I think, as trainers, because you have a tremendous impact on people's lives, potentially tremendous impact on people's lives. You interact with them, they trust you, you have their undivided attention, they're trusting you with their body, with their health. So it's a good time to get a very good understanding from them, what other aspects of their life they would like to improve. I perhaps have told my trainers things, perhaps in frustration or in happiness, that I perhaps haven't said to other people. So it's a pretty position that they're in to be able to impact people's lives. So I think, for them to have that level of appreciation as well is makes a difference.
No, I think you've said that beautifully. I mean, our whole ethos is to help a person get their body, their mind, their life, and their community into shape. And the work that Albert has done, with people in the gym, but picking out a few examples, obviously Hal in the police force, with you, Marlowe, and also with Khalid, you could really see the difference, the physical difference you've described, and we can see from the before and afters that we see from Belize, but then also the mental aspect, and particularly because you attend the Educo seminar, you learn about the mechanics of your mind, and then you do get that mental transformation. And obviously that does naturally lead into a life transformation. And in Belize, I think what is so incredible is the effect that it has had on the community. And I think that's what makes me excited about being involved in Educogym. And I love to hear the results that Albert's achieved, because it really gives people a full perspective of what Educogym can be all about. And it's great to hear the impact that it's having in a company, because it's something that we really think would make a difference to a lot of companies. And it's very easy to fit into a company because, as we've said, it's so compact, but yet it's open to all employees. And I love that idea that you've opened it up to the community so that people can use it. I think that's just incredible. That's amazing, actually. So it's great to see that Albert is leading that. And Marlowe, listen, we really appreciate both of you taking the time. I mean, an hour out of your time, and I know you put things aside to join us. So we so appreciate it. So thank you so much, Marlowe. And thanks a million, Albert, again for joining us.
You're welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you as well.
Great. So for everybody watching, thank you so much for watching, and for those of you that are going to watch this later, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week for another episode in our interview series. And until then, thank you very much and goodbye.